Hello, beautifuls. Hello. I'm so happy to be here. I will say though, I'm supposed to have like a co-host here, but I don't really know where she's at. Hopefully she will show up. Honestly, if you know Hannah, ask her where she's at. Welcome to my live chat. I have these live chats once every week. Usually I have a guest. I am supposed to have a guest. I don't really know where she's at. I'm sure she'll come on soon. I have these live chats once every week and we chat about different things. And the topic for today was supposed to be how me and Hannah, Louise Poston, changed our shopping habits. So we'll just see whether or not she shows up. I don't even know, am I live? Are you seeing me? It says I'm live. Anyways, if you haven't been here before, hello, my name is Angie. I'm so happy to have you. If you haven't been subscribed, I would love to have you subscribe to my channel. I also have it's right here, a join button where you can join as a member on my here on my channel, and you can be part of the Happy Clown Squad, meaning that you will be able to get a little clown emoji next to your name when you are commenting, and also you'll get the chance to use the member exclusive emojis. I also have member exclusive tutorials. Those go up once every month, and I'm having one. I think I'm having one next week again because I already filmed it. Taryn, I don't know where Hannah is. She's supposed to be here, but she's not. So if you have her, I would love maybe you poke her. I did mail her, but I don't know what's going on. You never know. You never know. It's 2020. Listen, anything can happen. 12 p.m. Pacific time. That is not when we are supposed to go live. I would love for, I don't know if I'm supposed to be waiting for her because listen, in 2 hours, it's going to be bedtime. In 2 hours, it's going to be bedtime. Yeah, I know, Hannah. That's why it's noon CST. Because otherwise, it's going to be bedtime for me. Oh, she's coming. Hannah is a pro. She can get ready while she's doing this. See, this is why I need to be better with communication. I need to put this in like big letters. CST. Hannah in the chat. Oh my god, that's so funny. Oh yeah, she's here. That may explain how you sound. Oh wow. Hello everyone. How is your evening? It's Thursday evening here, so I'm having a glass of wine. Oh my god. My husband just came home from work. I should probably close this door because I have a full pet store going on around me. You know how it is. Yeah, I know Hannah is PST. That's why I asked her if CST was okay. Because PST, noon PST, is extremely late for me. Hannah is coming. She's so much fun. Oh my god. Let me know, how is your week going? How's your Thursday going? What is the time where you are? Because for me, it is late evening. And I am, like I said, I'm just hanging out, having a bit of a glass of wine and just chilling. It's morning here. I have to wait for my glass of wine. Oh, wow. Yeah, but that's what it's happy hour somewhere. No, that's probably smart, though. No wine with the cereal. It's not 1 p.m. here. Oh, 1 p.m. So it's like midday then? Yeah, Finland is 1 hour before us. So they have 8 now. 2 p.m. in Santiago, Chile. Oh, so it's like almost midday. Yeah, Bulgaria is almost our time zone. It's like just straight down. I've actually been to Bulgaria twice, I think. Bulgaria is really, really pretty. It has a really, the weather in Bulgaria is such a nice, like, perfect summer weather. Noon in Mexico. I'm guessing you're also on CST then. 6 p.m. in Scotland. How's the weather where you're at? Sweden was having the perfect autumn weather, like perfect perfect autumn weather. It was warm, it was slightly sunny, the leaves are starting to turn. Unfortunately, like autumn in Sweden is like a day and a half. It's pathetic. So it's starting to get really dark in Sweden right now. It's so boring. So in like, I would say in a month, we're gonna start having like darkness almost all the time, which is, yeah, I hate it. Filming a review while watching you live. Oh, that's so exciting. Aiming, really? Because we had the most amazing weather today. That is not fun. Oh my God, Alaska? That is so cool. I wish to go to Alaska one day. 6 p.m. here in England. Yeah, I guess it's just after work. We usually eat around 7, and then I tend to, lately I've been trying to like switch to PJs and just wind down. Look, here she is. Are you ready, Hannah? I'm putting you on. Hey!
Hi. Is the sound okay, or should I try without my headphones? Sometimes it messes it up.
It is a bit lagging, but I don't know if we'll be able to hear the sound in the background then. Oh, the aliens are attacking! Now it's, oh, wait. How do I? Here. This is me. Their mic isn't connected. You can't unmute your guest. Their mic isn't connected. How rude.
Is that working?
Yes, it is working. Oh my God, you're
is
in
it
your
better
new
than when I have
filming
the headphones
space.
on?
Well, if nothing else, it's more aesthetically pleasing like this.
Well, if you think I should try putting them back on, let me know.
Yeah, I will, definitely.
Okay.
Oh my God, how are you, Hannah?
I thought it was noon PST.
Yeah, and I was like, is CST okay? Otherwise, it's so late. You're like, yeah.
I'm so sorry.
I should have been more like, are you sure? Because I knew it was morning for you. I thought you were a morning person.
I mean, it would have been fine. I just had it wrong. I'm so sorry. I'm going to get ready.
But that's perfect. What are you doing today, Hannah? Are you filming?
I have a call that I'm with someone else that I'm able to rearrange, and then I'm live chatting with you. And then taking care of the baby for a little while. If you're watching and you don't know my deal, I'm living in a group house, like a house with friends, and they have a baby and helping with the baby. So I've got like a chunk with her in the afternoon, and then editing, y'all.
I'm trying to save the kitty. She's just, trying to take stuff from the floor. I'm like, no, not that one. There is a Swedish movie called Tillsammans. If you're from Sweden, you probably know about this. It's basically about people in the 70s starting like a collective and living together, and it's like there's no monogamy and we're always living together. Oh my God. First when you said that you were moving in with your friends, I'm like, oh my God, she's doing it Tillsammans.
I mean, there's still monogamy, just to be clear. Monogamy still exists. But you know, there's a lot of like shared food and shared jobs. That's great. It's just been awesome.
Yeah, I like this. I always liked living with people as long as I have my own space, like that I have somewhere that's mine. Otherwise, I'd love being around people, as long as it's not like we're all in the same bedroom. No, we're not. That's not where. No.
It's not like that at all.
Oh my God.
Let me get us so I can see the chat, because I haven't been able to do that.
I'm like a tech whiz nowadays. I have the phone and the computer. I know. Who would have thought?
I would have thought, Angie. I would have thought that you'd be a tech whiz. All right.
So we were thinking that we were going to talk a little bit about, because we both feel like we have changed the way we shop. Maybe you more than me. Oh my God, that was me.
Although I do feel like I feel like I've also seen you just go through like a total transformation. I mean, I think maybe, I guess it's hard to measure, right? Because we didn't know each other kind of before this whole thing. And I started my journey at the beginning of the start of my YouTube channel, and that's how we connected. But, you know, I was watching you actually before I started YouTube. So I kind of witnessed the Angie before we encountered each other. And I just feel like it's just been amazing to watch you change, but we haven't done exactly the same thing. We haven't. Yeah.
But I mean, for me, it was more I think we came at this from different perspectives, because I was like, I have too much stuff. I have too much stuff. There's too many things. I can't use all of these. So I was like, I need to buy less stuff, because for me, and this is going to sound way worse than it is in my head, and I wish that I had a better way of mouthing this in English. English, not my first language. Money wasn't the problem. Like, I didn't put myself into debt. I didn't buy it on credit cards. I bought everything with a debit card. So for me, it was never like oh my God, I need to spend less, which is, I don't spend less. Let's be 100% honest here. I don't spend less. I spend the same amount of things, but I don't get rid of the things. And that was the thing. I got a lot of things just to get rid of them. Yeah. Especially clothes, because I was like, oh, I want these boots. These are the boots I want. I want them so bad, but I don't want to spend $800 on them. So I'll buy 4 different boots for like $50 each, and then I'll end up throwing all of them away or giving them away to Goodwill. Like, what is the point then? Why don't just save up and get that one thing that you want?
And I think it's really interesting to hear you talking about it, and to be reminded that this is like a way in which our situations are very different, which is that, and I love, like, I've always loved like talking about this with you and seeing you talk about it on your channel because of this, because you're like a really isolated lab sample. You know what I mean? I feel like for me, it's a mess. Like, I was buying too much stuff, like before my Know by Year, before my YouTube channel, I was buying too much stuff. I was doing exactly what you're talking about. I would go through these like consumer phases where I just needed something new, but I would buy more cheaper things instead of fewer, nicer things. And so I would end up with an excess of things, none of which were like really, really as lovely as I would have liked. And on top of that, I couldn't afford to spend the amount that I was spending. So I was going into debt, and I felt like I was sinking under debt and stuff. And so like everything was a mess, and it was kind of hard for me to disentangle one from the other. I was like, am I trying to save money, or am I trying to have nicer things? Do I want to stop buying things altogether, or do I want to start buying fewer things? Do I want to buy fewer cheap do I want to buy fewer things but have them be cheap, or do I want to buy fewer like I could do with skincare now, like fewer things and also less expensive things, or do I want to buy fewer things but have them be designer things? Like it took me a really long time to disentangle it, and I actually think it's taken those of you who watch me on YouTube and following along with me, it's taken some time for us all to kind of like disentangle the pieces, because I didn't know at the beginning. But with you, Angie, it's like it's very clear. Like, you weren't putting yourself into debt. You weren't spending unwisely, or you weren't spending beyond your means. So that whole piece is like completely out of the picture. And that makes it like this very pure, distilled issue, which is just the issue of stuff. So I love having a foil.
Because I was starting to like track things. I was like, how? Because I always wanted to buy the designer bag. I don't know if any of you are the same way, but I have a bucket list. I have a bucket list, and I have a bucket list, and it's filled with things that I want to do in my life. Big things, small things. One of them was visit Venice. I did that. Another one was to buy a special chair that I could read in, very specific.
Wait,
And one of them was, yeah, I have.
Oh my gosh, I want to see a picture.
So, and one of them was that I wanted to go into a store and buy my designer bag. And I was like, I'm never going to afford that. And then I started to count like how much money I actually spend on stuff that I don't even really want. And it's like, I like t-shirts. I like jeans. So I end up owning 100 t-shirts. I have one torso. So if I wear one t-shirt every day, I can wear a different t-shirt for almost 4 months. Who does that? That's stupid. So stupid.
I'm following, just a quick interjection. I'm following a person on Instagram. I think the account is Little Meteorites, and it's a project, a 30-day wear project. So the idea is like each garment, each item of clothing, to track it and make sure that you wear it 30 times. When you say it out loud, it doesn't sound like that much. It's like, oh yeah, 30 times. Like all my clothes have been worn 30 times. But she posted recently that if you had an item of clothing in January and you wore it once a week, you wouldn't get through your 30th time until the end of July. So that makes me think like very few of my garments or accessories have actually been worn 30 times. Anyway, go on.
The thing is that the things in my wardrobe that are the most used are the things that I just lounge around my house. Yeah. And that's also something that I had to reevaluate, because I am like adapting your like fewer but nicer things. But also it's like I don't need to spend a lot of money on everything. For example, I like to buy really big, extravagant earrings because I love wearing them when filming. Yes. I love wearing them when I go out. Like I wear them to the movies, but I don't wear them enough to warrant me buying like $400 Chanel ones. Like, why would I do that? Because I would wear them 3 times a year. That's very expensive earrings for wearing 3 times in a year. So I'll spend less on that. But for some reason, I'm still in this like, oh, I'll spend $150 on a Natasha Denona eyeshadow palette that I'll wear now and then. But me spending $50 on a pair of sweatpants that I'm going to wear every day of the week, I would never. $50?
Another way to think of it with this, I mean, I know we're getting into talking about money now, and I do want to hear more and to talk more about like your thinking about this stuff when isolated from the idea of budgeting. But another way to think about that, to frame that, is that if you buy something, if you do manage to wear something 30 times, like a dress, for example, if you pull off this magical feat of managing to wear a dress so much that you've finally worn it 30 times, if the dress cost $30, which is, for me, that's kind of like a low price point for a dress. For like I think most of my dresses have cost more than $30. That means you essentially paid $1 every time you wore it, which is like kind of a high fee for something you own. You know what I mean? To like think of forking over $1 every time you put your dress on, taking it out of your wallet and like giving it away. Every time you put on your own dress that you own. And it's only that if you buy a dress for $30 and wear it 30 times. And I have dresses that have cost, way more than that I've worn way fewer times than that. But I think of them as like my old standards, my dresses that I've worn. You know what I mean? Like I just,
Yeah, I feel like with fashion and everything, it's the way that you want the world to see you. You're trying to show your personality on the outside. So I usually don't think about it in a way of like, how much did this cost me every time I wore it? I try to think more like, why am I so afraid to spend a lot of money on things that I would wear a lot when I have no problems sometimes spending a lot of money on things that I just wear that much? That is what I'm battling with right now, because I would love to be the person that buys fancy underwear. I would love to be the person that wears You are? I want to be that person, but I'm not.
I mean, except for I did. So I should just be clear. I have right now fancy bras and like cheap underwear, but I really want to upgrade my underwear to be as fancy as my bras. But it's hard because you feel it's something that's going to wear out and something utilitarian. So I feel like there are these warring feelings. Like on the one hand, it's like, well, if I'm gonna wear it not just 30 but 60, 100 times, then I'll definitely like quote unquote get my money's worth. But on the other hand, it's like then it's going to be worn out and it'll go. You'll have to toss it. Whereas, you know, a beautiful dress that you're only going to wear to formal occasions that costs hundreds of dollars, you might not get your money's worth in the same way, but you'll have it forever, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I think like I did a video where I was talking about like how to not be a bridezilla. I was like talking about my wedding, and I feel the same way about shopping for your personal style or shopping for like makeup as I feel about that. You have to pick your battles. You can't have designer everything. You cannot have luxury everything. Like, what is the most important? And you pick that. I think my husband is home, and now he's afraid to come here so we can close the door. I don't know where he went. So it's like you can't expect, because if you buy designer everything, maybe you'll have one outfit, and of course, if you wear that, then you'll wear it 300 and again. But it's every day of the year. But you have to like pick your battles, like which are the most important things for you. And if it's nothing, that's totally fine too. You can buy less stuff and still not buy expensive stuff. Because for me, it was definitely just, I need less. And I need to be like, when I buy stuff, I need to be, am I going to be wearing this? Like, am I actually going to be pulling this one out? And also, am I going to be pulling this one instead of the similar one that I already have at home that I already love? Because I was like, this like style looks good on me. So I bought 100 of them. But again, it's only one of me. I don't need 100 similar dresses or 50 similar t-shirts.
So here's a question. What if we've been talking about divorcing the idea of your spending habits, like divorcing them from money, like divorcing it from the question of whether you can afford what you buy. What if we divorce it, just as a thought experiment, from the idea of practicality? Like we've been talking about cost per wear, cost per use. And it's like, you know, I think and talk about this all the time, talk about it on my channel, like, you know, things that I'm going to use up, like skincare that I go through. I don't want it to be as expensive, you know, and if you extend that to like fashion and eyeshadow and stuff like that, what if we just think about our stuff in terms of how much we like it and how much we like having it, and not think about how much use you're going to get out of it? I'm not saying this is a good way to think about it. I'm just saying as a thought experiment, like, what are the things that you own just because you were like, I really want this, and you know that you don't use it that much? To me, it's more formal things, like fancier clothes,
definitely.
high-heeled shoes. And, you know, I think some people are like, it's almost like they're more willing to spend more on the things they're not going to use as much, because it's like the rarefied things, the fancier things.
I feel it's not that often that I get to like dress up. So I love the feeling of knowing that when I do dress up, I have those heels that I bought. I've used them like 3 times.
I love that. So
far, they're a very expensive investment, but I loved wearing them all 3 times. I got a lot of compliments. They were comfortable. I had fun in them. I felt pretty in them. And I look forward to the next time that I get to wear them. And even though right now, I probably spent $300 each time I wore them, it's still, I'm so happy I own them. I'm so happy they're at my place. But at the same time, I wouldn't go out and buy another pair, because right now I don't use that enough. Like heels. I have the one heel that I can pull out when I have that occasion, but it's not often enough. So,
and I think that the key to that being true is that you know yourself well enough that when you bought the first pair, you bought ones that were going to continue to be exciting for you and great for you. You know what I mean? Like, because I think that what would sometimes happen to me in the past is that I would get that pair, but it wouldn't be expensive. It would be, you know, I would buy something way less expensive and less nice because I felt bad about how much I was spending. And then I would wear them the one time, and then there would be a long gap in between when I had an occasion to wear them and when I had occasion to wear them again. And then when the second time rolled around, I would be like, these aren't right anymore. Like, they're not comfortable or they're not my style or they're just not nice enough. They're not, and it's because they weren't really right
the one
time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so then I would like buy another. I would go do it again, and the whole thing would start over again. So your theory only works because the fewer things are nicer, not only in quality, but also in style. Like, they're enough.
Yeah.
You've chosen them well.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's the thing, like, because these are the pairs that I always dreamt about buying. Like, these are the pairs, like, these were the shoes that I spent a lot of times looking for an affordable dupe. And I bought several pairs of dupes, but they were never right. And now I just bought the one, and I'm like, why didn't I just save up and buy the one? That's what I've noticed, is that all the things that I declutter are the things that I buy when I think that this will be good enough, instead of just buying the thing I want, regardless of price. If I can't afford the thing I really want, I won't buy a dupe, because I know I'm going to declutter it, because that wasn't the thing that I really wanted. I wanted that thing. And it's okay to not be able to afford it, but then just buy something totally different instead, or set your, in Sweden we say, you set your sight on something else instead, that's within your budget instead.
Yeah.
And I feel like we actually talked, I saw Linda was in the chat here before, Linda from Glitter Fallout, that is actually coming here next week for the live. Me and Linda are doing a favorites video. Yes, I will update a bit more about that in the end. But we were talking about this, that, oh my God,
I have to grab my neck thingy. Hold on.
Do it, because I lost the thread. Linda, what were we talking about? No, we were talking about fashion and buying the things that we wanted. We have been talking a lot about fashion. Maybe we'll even talk a little bit about that like next week as well. But so many things that we have bought that just wasn't right. Instead of just say, oh yeah, that was the thing that we were actually talking about. We used to be so impatient. I wanted something and I wanted it now.
Yeah.
So instead of saving and buying the thing that I actually wanted, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to save for so many months. I don't have the patience. I don't have the time. I don't have the energy for this. So instead, I'd just buy the first thing I could find that I could afford right now. And I'd be like, okay, done. I bought the thing. I've got it now. It's okay. Here's Linda, by the way, that's coming on my channel next week. And it's like, I feel like the thing that has mostly changed with me going on a low buy is that I have more patience.
Yeah.
Like, I can wait to buy the thing.
And you know, that really dovetails with I think one of the hold on, I'm trying to talk and put my lipstick on at the same time. I'm almost done, you guys. I'm almost done, and then I can
Hi,
just...
Tina.
Hi, Tina.
So happy to see you, beautiful.
So much. It hurts.
You're like,
I'm a person. I live. So that just dovetails with something that I have been thinking about with regards to this, which is that like the question of like how our shopping behavior has changed. That what you were just saying about not being able to wait, I think that is a huge one for me, but it's like partly to do with what you were just talking about, where it's like you have to have the thing right now, like the very thing that you're looking for, the thing you're hungry for, like you're desperate for like grungy lipstick. You're desperate for a red dress or whatever it is. But I also think that a major way that my behaviors changed because of my no buy year is that I was able to be patient when I was feeling desperate just to buy something. And so I learned that sometimes I wasn't obsessed with, like, I felt like I was obsessed with a red dress. I would be like, I have to have a red dress this season. I have to have a red dress next week. I have to have a red dress before I go on that dinner date that I have. And so it would feel like it was about the red dress, and it would feel like it was about my identity being wrapped up in this image of myself wearing a red dress. But there's another thing also that was going on where it was not to do with the specific dress, and it was just me being like, I feel unhappy with the life I'm leading. I feel stuck. I feel anxious. I feel bad about myself in all of these ways that I've been dragging through my life. And if I can just click that button or run that credit card, if I can just have that new thing, it will temporarily alleviate that anxiety. And so it was a combination of not being able to be patient for the red dress, and also not wanting to sit with myself and just admit that, I felt bad, and like that, and not wanting to like untangle that stuff and work on that stuff. And so it's like the temptation to buy the thing is driven by this like gigantic, like gale force wind of all of your stuff, all of your garbage. And it's
because with this red dress, I will all of a sudden, I will be that person. I will be stylish all of a sudden with the red dress. Yeah. Even at the point where I'm not wearing the dress, all of a sudden I will be a more stylish person. It's like people will just look at me and know that I'm the kind of person that owns a red dress at home.
Yes, yes, exactly. Yeah, and it's also I think chemical. Like I think that for me, a good bit of it was also just chemical. I was like the chemicals in the brain were the chemicals of making the purchase, the dopamine would. Okay, now here we go. We're getting there. This is the moment.
Oh my God, you're looking like yourself again. The hair is crazy. Like this is my hair. I just washed my hair today. I have the straightest, like it's super shiny and all, but it's just so.
It looks beautiful.
It is nice, and I know I every time I say like it's so straight, it's so boring, there's always someone that's like, this is the exact hair I wish I had, and I get that, but I just a little volume.
But luckily you've got like a really nice shaped head, and your face is proportionate to the size and shape of your head. Like all these things, I always feel like I'm trying to like poof everything up so that it like you won't see how like asymmetrical of a person I am. Let me just put my earrings in, and I promise I'll be done.
Hannah Louise Poston, the asymmetrical person she is.
I'm like, maybe if I have a bun as big as my head and it's slightly to the side. No one will notice.
I started a new habit actually this month, because I said that September was going to be a month where I was going to buy less things in makeup, because I have a lot of makeup that I really love using, and I don't want to bring in too much to review right now. So I have a habit tracker where I literally put an X every day that I shop, and it's pitiful sometimes when you see that it's like 3 days in a week. Like, what is that?
Every day you buy something, or every day you engage in shopping behaviors?
No, every day I buy something, because I'm the person that I will go through websites and I will pin pictures to my Pinterest board, and I will save it for future. Like, I have something similar to this. I want to wear it like this, and I'll pin it to my Pinterest. So I'll use online shopping as like an inspiration as well, even though
I do that too. That's something that okay, just hello, I'm here now. I can start looking at the comments. I'm sorry everyone that I got PST and CST mixed up. But
I'm sure it's 75% my fault. So.
I think it's just been, we're just rolling
2020.
along at a rapid rate of speed over here in life. But so one of the things that I think that going through the no buy year and then beyond has been really interesting is talking about not actually buying stuff, but shopping behaviors. Mm-hmm. So you were just saying that, like, to you, shopping behaviors aren't actually a bad thing. If they are addictive, it's like in a way that is kind of healthy because it's like, it's artistic. It's a way to relax. And I made a distinction during my no buy year between shopping behaviors like browsing, reading reviews, even sometimes on Instagram, and actually buying stuff where you spend the money and then you acquire a thing, which are the two things that we're kind of like battling with, right? So the shopping behaviors during my no buy year, there were times that I really worked on like cutting myself off from that and just trying to kind of put it to bed for a while because I needed a break. Like I was trying to rewire like my brain, and I wanted to start a new relationship with shopping behaviors, basically. To do that, I had to break up with them for a while, But the most important thing was stopping the spending during that time because I really needed to start behavior with that. But now that I've sort of changed and I've moved on and new things are like I've been able to rebuild new habits. I do feel like I too engage in what I call shopping behaviors in a recreational way that is often like completely disconnected from actually buying stuff. And I've come to really make friends with it. Like I think that I probably engage in some kind of shopping behaviors almost daily. Like if I were to X on the calendar, thinking about things that I don't own, but that are out there, and thinking about their beauty and the way that they are maybe similar to things I already own, and being inspired by them, being curious about what's new on the market, trend mood, all of that stuff. Even watching YouTube is almost always like that, you're thinking that stuff. But the huge difference for me is that the X on the calendar for days that I actually buy a thing, like it's gone down to almost nothing. It would be like 1 or 2 days a month, perhaps. And that is, to me, like the thing that's dramatically different, and that's what matters. And I almost feel like it's left room for the shopping behaviors to kind of like fill space instead. It's like they've taken the place of the other thing instead of being linked to the other thing.
Yeah, for instance, like I know a lot of people feel like if they go out, like in Sweden we say on the town, because I live in the absolute center of the city, and I have literally 4 minutes to H&M, and I'll go out and I'll go through the stores, I'll have a coffee, and I'll go home, and I do that maybe once a week, but I never buy anything. And I know that a lot of people would be like, I can't have spent all this time and not come home with anything, but that never like struck me. I have no problem just going around looking at the things, thinking like, oh, maybe in a future home I can have drapes like this, or maybe if I run out of perfume, this one smells nice, or oh, this is new, that looks cute, and then I'll just leave and I'll buy nothing. It's fine. So that is something that I've done for years, and that was never the problem. The problem was that when I saw things more like online, I'm like, that is pretty, that is my style, and I bought it without being like, okay, all these 10 things are your style, maybe pick one.
Yeah.
Maybe don't buy all 10.
Yeah, and that's, I think, the key. Like that, and maybe this is the way in which, when we were talking about like how our shopping behaviors have changed, we've had different premises, different journeys, sort of different outcomes. But I think that this is a thing that really ties our experience together, which is this moment. I've been thinking about it this week, actually, because I've had to do it a couple of times this week. This moment where it's almost like when I've already decided, this happens to me not all the time, but frequently, I'll have kind of already decided to buy something. I'll like have it in my cart and I'll be like, I think I'm going to spend my budget on that. I'm going to buy that. And then I'll just say, but what if I don't buy it? And sometimes I actually often do this with non-budget things like household items, or like, I don't know, like we're almost out of Band-Aids, and we're not totally out of Band-Aids, but we're almost out. So I'm like, I've got to buy Band-Aids. So I'll like put Band-Aids in my online shopping cart. And then I'll be like, I got to check out with that cart and buy those Band-Aids. And there'll be 2 other things in there too. There will be like other random household things, and then maybe like a lipstick. You know what I mean? So I'll have this cart and I'll be like, okay, I've been building this cart. I need to like go and check out and get those things. And old Hannah, before my know by year, I would invariably, every single time, eventually I would check out. And then over the next week, the package would arrive, or these packages would arrive. We'd get the Band-Aids, we'd get the lipstick, we'd get the, I don't know, the sunscreen, the other kind of sunscreen where we already had one kind. I wanted to have the other kind, and I was really convinced that Joe needed like a new pair of flip-flops or something. So they had all arrived. This year, now, when that happens, and I still do it all the time, I go on, I put Joe's flip-flops in the cart, I put the Band-Aids in the cart, I put the lipstick in the cart. And then the next day I'll be like, what if I just don't buy those things? And then I just exit out, take them out of the cart, exit out, and guess what? Life goes on. Joe never misses his flip-flops that he didn't even know I was buying for him. We actually never run out of Band-Aids because we don't use them that very often. The other kind of sunscreen that we already had was fine. And also I have enough lipstick. And so I just forget about it. And like literally nothing changes. Nothing in life changes. Nothing gets worse. Nothing is dramatic. I don't lose any like dramatic improvement that I thought I was going to make. Nothing changes. And we don't have all those extra things. We don't lose the money I would have spent, and all the packaging and the cost of sending stuff through the mail, all of that is saved. And so it's like, just like you walking around and smelling the perfumes and stuff, but then not buying anything and going home. It's like, I've started to do that 85 to 90% of the time that I consider buying something. I just go home instead.
Yeah.
That's the major way my behavior has changed.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, now that I look back at it, I was thinking of it this weekend. We were at IKEA. And I haven't bought anything, not a single item for this household since I decided to include household things in my low buy in September last year. So for a year. Yeah. Because I was like you. I was like, what if we run out of candles? What if we run out of... We never do. You don't need those extra pillow thingy-majingies. We don't need more sheets. We do not need more towels. Like, we have towels for like, what do I think I'm living in a mansion? I have 2 bathrooms. Why do I have 8 sets of towels? What, am I never cleaning again? What is going on? And all the like detergent that we had. And it's like, what if we run out? Oh my God, it's on sale. I better buy it. It's like, I've had it for 3 years. I have half left. I think they'll still make laundry detergent next time I'm buying it. I think I'm good. I think I'm okay. It's like, I think that things are just going to run out, or that I magically need another throw blanket, even though I already have 3. Like, what am I getting, in a secret couch somewhere? Like, I don't, and all the paintings and all the flowers and the plants. And listen, the plants we might need because we kill plants. Like, it's like a business. Oh my God, I am the worst. Both my mom, well, my dad is dead, but both my mom and my dad are florists, and I kill every plant. So I did not inherit that.
I love applying this to homewares because I think that there's a really special, special is like a weird word choice there, but there's a particular urge, a particular version of the self that we feel like we're fulfilling when we buy like an extra set of sheets or like more guest towels or something. It has to do, I'm not going to articulate this very well, I fear, but it has to do with domesticity, with adulthood, with the future that we envisioned for ourselves when we were children. It has to do with maybe what our parents modeled. And there's kind of like this feeling of, you know, when I'm a grown up, when I'm successful, I'll have guest towels, You know what I mean? Or I'll have like three sets of sheets and we'll rotate, and then it gets flipped. So you're like, you don't feel successful. You don't feel like an adult. So you're like, well, here's what I'll do. I'll buy those guest towels and I'll have them. And then I will have arrived in this moment of adulthood or moment of success that I keep waiting for, and it feels like it never comes. And that feeling of like keeping waiting to feel like you've finished growing up, or you finished becoming successful, or you finished arriving at the rest of your life, like we're all waiting. Like you wait for that for your whole life. It never really comes. You never really feel like you've successfully become the woman you are planning to be. And I think that that's partly the human condition. Like you get to be a certain age and then you realize that like your mom wasn't as put together as you thought she was when you were a kid. And so you're never actually going to feel like that. And it's kind of a shock. But it's also the contemporary condition. It's like the modern condition, because we're dealing with a barrage of imagery and messaging about what success looks like that our parents weren't dealing with, because they didn't have the internet attacking them all the time with it. And they didn't have like these certain kinds of like sitcoms and social media and all of this stuff telling them what it would look and feel like to be successful. So they didn't have so much to stack themselves up against. So it's like the feeling of, I cannot tell you how amazing it felt when I realized that we actually only need one set of sheets. I was just like, we have one freaking bed. We have one pair of set of sheets that we really like. And when we wash them, we do it all in one day. We take them off, we wash them, we dry them, and then we put them back on the bed. Every time we do it, we get it all done in one day. So we just have the one. And it's just like, I had to relearn my knowledge about what adulthood would feel like. I had to retrain myself from what I had always anticipated it would feel like to have a grown-up bed with my grown-up husband, with my like grown-up house. Like that's not my life. You know what I mean? We have a nice grown-up bed, but I've got a grown-up boyfriend and we're living in someone else's house. And we only need one pair of sheets. And it doesn't mean that we aren't living our lives, you know?
Yeah, I think also, like, I read a very interesting book. It's in Swedish. If you're a Swedish viewer, it's called Just och fräscht. Amazing book. And it's literally, one part of the book is breaking down that old times, it was seen as something good to have a lot of things. The more things you had, the richer you were. You would display like almost hoarding like conditions, like just display pieces everywhere. The most things you had, like the more things you had, the more successful you were, the richer you were. Nowadays, it's the opposite. The more minimalistic you are, the less things you have somehow shows how successful you are. And it's somehow become like a home with a lot of stuff. It's almost like, oh my God, a hoarding mentality. So how it's switched and how we now look at owning less stuff as something actually good for us, as something that we want, instead of back in the days when you never got rid of anything, you just got more and more and more. And I felt like I was in that, like, I had like so many sheets and so many plates and so many cutleries and so many knives and so many, it's like, what do I think I'm cooking here with like 100 pots and 3 frying pans, and like I don't need this. And I've tried to get rid of all of it, and not all of it, but like as much as possible. We do have 2 sets of sheets though, because it's not always. But we went to IKEA. I feel like I have a cat hair here. I probably do. We went to IKEA actually. Yeah. I see it. We went to IKEA actually because our dog, he sleeps in our bed, and he had ripped the sheet. So it was actually at the point like, I need to replace this. I didn't have any, like, and I don't think I've ever been in that position where I'm like not adding but actually replacing. Like I bought so many candles when I was in my 20s. I'm still burning them. I am 30 mother fluffing 6, and I'm still burning the candles I bought in my early 20s. How cozy did I think it was gonna be?
I love that. I love that. I love the replacements. This is another thing that has really changed. Like, it feels so natural to me now that it's a little bit hard to even recall that old mentality of buying something when there's a replaceable thing or a disposable thing, something that's designed to be used up, like a candle or a shampoo or even a sheet, because we also wore out our bottom sheet and replaced it last year. Even something like that, when there's something that's designed to be replaced, the idea of buying a new one when the old one's still working or going strong, it seems so foreign to me now, because that's something that I really retained from my no-buy year. And I actually think it saved me a ton of money. And it's not even budget stuff. It's like utility stuff around the house, even like laundry soap and towels and, you know, socks for working out, and just like little things that aren't like beauty, like aren't the things that I covet, but just all the rest of the shit. It's like I've just become really resistant to buying it unless we truly are out of it. And what that means is that there will often be some days where you don't have the thing you need. Like, what will happen is we'll run out of laundry soap, and then I'll go to do my laundry and I'll be like, darn it, we're out of laundry soap. And so I can't do my laundry today. We have to get it. And then we'll go and get it. And then I know that like I'm on the right track. You know what I mean? Or like we slept on that ripped sheet for like a week and a half while we researched.
Same.
I love it though. That way of doing things is so much better, because the world doesn't end if you can't do your laundry today. The world doesn't end if your sheet is ripped, but you can slowly destroy your life from the inside by buying all that stuff that you don't need and just nickel and diming yourself like into oblivion.
And also, one of the things that I have thought of is like now, because we are like in the process of moving. We were going to move this autumn, but 2020 was like, no, bitch, you're not. So we are moving, just not in the time frame that we had. A lot of things that I've...
Quick note, I am glad you're moving, but also I've been thinking of you a lot lately, because like it really sucks here. It's the worst. Like, we should talk about this another time, but like maybe
we'll have this chat.
Let's trade. I'll go to Sweden and you can go here.
But the thing is that I've thought about like a lot of the times we think when we look at homes, we're like, oh, it has a lot of storage. And the more I've thought about it, it's like, storage for what? All the storage is for replacements. It's for like things that you don't need right now, but maybe later. Why? Why do I need that? Why do I need all the storage? If like I thought about all the things that I actually keep in my storage, and it's so many things. There are like replacements or backups or things that I use so seldom that it's so. I don't understand what and we devote space out of our living space for things that we just don't need. We don't need to have. Why are they here in my home when they could be in the store when I actually pick them up when I need them? Like all of the storage that we think that we need in the bathroom. One shampoo, one conditioner, one soap. I had so much soap. Again, stopped buying soap last year. I still have soap. I haven't bought soap for a year.
I don't know if you probably weren't watching my channel at this point, but there was a moment in my no-buy year. It was like in the 8th month or something when I came on camera with this tiny little sliver. It was a bar of soap that I had used down. And I held up this like tiny little sliver of soap, and I was like, this is the last soap in my house. And it had taken like 8 months of not buying anything to get to the last. And I was so excited about it. But
because
go on.
No, I was just going to say, I've gotten a lot of, because I use liquid soap when I'm in the shower, and I've gotten a lot of soap in PR. And I don't know why. I don't talk about soap on my channel, but like free soap, thank you. I'm not going to complain. But now I'm on to my last bottle, and I know I told my boss, I'm like, I can't believe that I'm going to be able to pick out my own soap soon. She's like, wow, that is a really... Small
Yes.
thing. But I'm so excited. And I've been doing research. Like, which one
I
am I
know.
gonna
Yeah.
get?
Welcome to the party. Like, I love that feeling. Especially, I mean, I'm not one to sit around and complain about. It's so nice to get things for review, but it is really interesting if you're getting things for review from brands and you're also sticking to a replacements only philosophy, then it means that you can get stuck in this really long period of time during which you are denied by your policies the chance to pick anything out for yourself. And so it's like a very, very rarefied problem to have, but it does really it does kind of like inform this discussion. It is really interesting. But before we get too far away from it, I kind of want to go back to what you were saying about that book that you read that talked about how it used to be that having a lot of stuff was a sign of wealth and success, and it's flipped in modern society so that if you don't need a lot of stuff and you have a really minimalist lifestyle, that's a sign of wealth and success, because it kind of it pushes the conversation like a little further down the line in a direction that I've been thinking a lot about lately, which is that so what's happening, I think, because that is true, because we've gotten to this point where we idealize this like wealthy minimalist home. Like, have you ever seen what the inside of Kim Kardashian's home looks like?
No.
Okay. So after this chat, everyone should go. I saw it when it was like 55 questions with Kim Kardashian or something that I don't know, Vogue or some periodical did this where they went into her house and interviewed her and asked her a bunch of questions. The house is literally all cream colored and there's nothing. It is literally nothing except for like bone colored everything. Like whatever you're imagining, like triple it. And that is what it is. Literally bone colored everything. There's nothing out that's not that. It's totally wild. Anyway, that has become like the pinnacle, the absurdist pinnacle of wealth. But what that means is that we look at the other thing where abundance of stuff, like if you've got like a huge garage, like packed full of like sports equipment and like stuff that from the school play and all of this stuff, we started to really like look down on that as like kind of like a middle class or like a poverty, the hunger from poverty for stuff. So it's like if you aren't secure in your finances and your position in life, you come from not having enough and knowing that you don't have enough, then every bit of money that you get or every bit of space that you get, you gather stuff, you cram it full of stuff because that stuff makes you feel secure. And so I feel like the idea of glamorizing like this Kim Kardashian house full of nothing, the flip side of that is that we look down on that way of thinking, kind of looks down upon or judges people who feel so insecure that the stuff still makes them feel safe, you know? And so I've realized, because I went through this note by year and then I never wanted to like be a minimalist, but I've like moved towards having less stuff because it was just not good the way it was before.
Yeah, but I get the feeling, because I was like, I have so many things that I just never touch, and I opened the cabinet. I'm like, this is the first time I've opened this cabinet in 2 years, and I still don't want anything in here. And I just closed. I'm like, why does this even exist?
It's not bad to like want to move away from that, but as I moved away from it, I feel like I started entering into this thinking about having too much stuff that was very judgy, that like came from it's a trend, you know what I mean? It's a contemporary trend to be like, you've got all that stuff, like you must be not cool or you must be not successful. You're in this category of people who like where stuff makes them feel good. So like you're definitely like not the thing, you know? And I started like feeling really bad about like stuff at all. And so it's like this pendulum swinging. Like I swung too far in the direction of too much stuff. And then I swung back and I kind of got into this danger zone of being just as unhappy because my house looked like Kim Kardashian's house. And so I've had to like start swinging back to the center and just being more gentle with myself and being like, yeah, it's like great that you only have one set of sheets and that you don't buy candles until you're out of candles anymore. That's great. But it's okay to have like 10 dresses instead of 8. Like, and then it's okay to get another dress. Like it doesn't mean that you're, that you're a failure. You know what I mean? It's like, it's so easy to be judgy from either side, I think is what I wanted to say. So my shopping behavior's changed a lot. And then it's like, and that they're kind of like, we're like getting to this center,
Yeah, but it's so easy to be swept. I'm the same. Like if I start with something, I can't do things like in Sweden we'd say like halfways. I have to like go all in, and I would probably be the same if I was like getting more into minimalism. I would probably be the person that just pulls a bag and just shoves things in the bag to get rid of it. Because I have a tendency of really like going into stuff, and you can see that on my channel. I'm like, I love YouTube. I'm gonna do it 7 days a week. I like makeup. I'm gonna buy whatever release I see because it's pretty and because I can afford it. It's like you said, you have to find that middle piece, and like I love having. Like I will never be a minimalist because I love having stuff. I love having decor.
Yeah.
I love having, like, I don't know if anyone's ever seen my apartment, but my background when I'm filming, which I can't have right now because it's so dark and you can see it's I'm in the bat cave. Okay, I have to do this, otherwise my camera's gonna be like, I'm gonna be Casper the Friendly Ghost, or maybe just Casper the blah. So I love dark. I love things that are dark. I love things that are colorful. I love patterns. I like a lot of paintings and a lot of decor and like plants. And I can never be the person that's like, I have 2 bowls. Like I don't think I could be that person. But at the same time, I don't want to be the person that's like, I have 7 bowls and then I have more bowls in the basement for if for some reason we run out of bowls and we need more bowls. Like I don't want to be that person either. And it is really hard to be like the middle ground, but I feel like I'm getting a new start when moving because I'm not going to be able to bring a lot of things, which is good. So it can be like more a fresh start. Because there are some things that I love owning a lot of.
And with the bowls too, there's another way to be, which is to like be like, well, these bowls aren't very nice, but I got a bunch of them because they're useful. And like, it just makes me think, hearing you talk and list off these like different ways of being, it just makes me think I'd like to make a map where it's like, we have like practicality, we have cost per use, which is the kind of practicality. We have the beauty of an object. We have how sturdy an object is and how long it will last. We have whether it sparks joy. We have whether there's too much stuff in our space. We have whether we can afford the thing or not. And, and when we have like how our finances are looking and, whether they're out of control or we're in our control. And all of that stuff is like interconnected, like a web, you know what I mean? Like it's all connected. And I think that even if you're a true dyed-in-the-wool minimalist or a total maximalist, or like, no matter what, all that stuff is like out there and it's all graphed. Maybe it's like Venn diagram, maybe it's like, lines like a spider web or something. And I think that it's useful for me to think of it that way because it's like all of these things coexist, all of it. And so, and we in our contemporary way of thinking, we're so prone to just zeroing in on one thing or 2 things and being like, these are the 2 factors and this is the truth, but it's like, when you have all of those and you get one bowl, you know what I mean? Like, where does it fit in terms of like how beautiful it is and how practical it is and how many you already have, whether it's too much stuff, not enough stuff, how long it's going to last, what the cost per use is, how your finances are once you've detracted the cost of that bowl. It's like that bowl is graphed across this entire constellation of questions about stuff, shopping, and also identity, life, happiness. It's like the post-industrial revolution questions of human life, and it's just, I think, good to remind ourselves not to get too carried away with, not too myopic about like one aspect of that, like only things that aren't expensive or like only things that are beautiful or like, only things that contribute to our minimalist house and not too much stuff,
Yeah.
too much on one thing. Maybe it's fine for you, but it can lead you to judge other people harshly because you forget that everybody has everyone's dealing with a constellation in which these things relate differently to each other.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like the only area where I 100% have succeeded with this, like not buying too many things, not buying replacements, only having what I like use and need, it's actually groceries. And that was a bit scary when everyone was going into this whole like, are we getting into lockdown? Because me and Ricardo, we literally buy food to eat that day. We were like, if there's a lockdown, we have nothing. Like, we're the kind of people that run out of salt and we have no backup. Okay, fine, you run to the store and get some salt. Like, we will run out of things and we almost never, ever throw any food away. I can't even remember. Sometimes the last loaf, like the last piece of bread gets moldy, but we don't throw food away because we buy exactly what we want for then. And we don't make like we don't buy big things of food just to have. Like, we don't buy like that. So I feel like that is the only area where we like we're
this reminded me. Remember when you were in my apartment in downtown and you opened the fridge and you saw that big mason jar of ghee? And you were like, this is the most American thing I've ever seen. It was like a giant mason jar of ghee.
I was like, what is this?
But so like, you're saying for the day. So how close do you live to the supermarket?
Very close.
Because I feel like this, so Joe and I have always had a dream that we would live close enough to like a corner market or a supermarket that we could go and buy the food to cook the meal that we're about to cook right before we cook it. And there have been times in my life when that was true for me, but it was only when I lived in Europe. Like when I lived in Florence, I walked to the supermarket and bought my food every day before I cooked it. And yeah, I think of it as a very European thing, like a European city thing. And maybe it's because there are more smaller supermarkets rather than like these huge, rather than there being like one.
Yeah, and you can walk to it. You can walk to the supermarket here. Like the supermarket that we go to, the one that's in the city, you can't even go there by car. Like it's impossible, I think. I don't even know. I missed this one. Thank you so much, Lauren. I lost everything in a fire when I was a teenager, so my collection is small. And I think the connection with that has made decluttering harder. I feel you with that, but I lost it a bit because I had a break-in in my apartment when I was younger, and they took everything of value. So I lost everything that I had of value: my computer, my TV, like all my like the clothes that were like somewhat nice. Like they stole everything. So I also had to start over, and I feel like you are doing better than me. Because it totally got a hold of me. I did not have that under control.
And it's kind of a question of like the difference between like forced minimalism and chosen minimalism. You know what I mean? If you're forced to start over from nothing by tragedy or poverty, then it's a little bit less appealing to have like only one. Even if you might want to get there eventually, like even if that really is where your heart lies, it takes a lot of healing and a lot of work to get so that your knee-jerk reaction isn't to like hoard it all.
Yeah, but like and coming back to like the food thing, is my food store is 3 minutes away. Like it's like 2 houses away. I can walk there and can come back with dinner in 10 minutes if I want to. So usually I'll buy dinner for like one day, and maybe I'll buy something for the day after. I'll like refresh some of the like coffee and milk and juice and like breakfast things, but we never buy like, what are we eating this month? Like never. And we never are like, oh, we're out of pasta, we need to buy more pasta, we're out of frozen veggies, we need to buy, like we never do that, like unless we're actually planning a meal with frozen veggies and pasta. So we always buy. And that, like I saw today when I opened the fridge, that we have a half or like a third of a cucumber that I think that we need to throw away. And I was like, oh, it was quite some time since I had to throw something away. And when people come here as guests and they open my fridge, they're like, you have no food at home. I'm like, no, but I'm also not eating right now. So
That's amazing. It's really interesting because I feel like some of what we do is really similar to that, in that we don't like replace the pasta because it's out or replace. We only buy it when it's like replacements only. Like we only buy it when if we run out of rice, we won't buy rice until we're about to cook with rice. You know what I mean? But there is a really huge difference that comes from just logistics, like needing to travel to the store, or these days needing to place an order that's delivered because of the pandemic. And so we want to minimize the number of trips that we make, virtual or otherwise, to the supermarket. And that means that there's a lot of planning and a lot of buying things in advance. And now, because I'm cooking for 4 adults and a little bit for the baby, although it's just kind of a separate thing. But now I'm cooking for a week because we're placing our grocery order once a week. It requires this very organized plan because some proteins go bad faster than others. So I find that we usually eat like a fish meal or a shrimp meal, and that's always the first one. And then if there's like a ground meat meal, it's going to be like the third one towards the end of the week. Or like a chicken, you know what I mean? And like, my mind is like half of a day every week completely consumed with these questions of how much and when and what, and like planning and then buying a bunch of food in advance. But it's all in the service of making sure that we don't waste the food. So it's like for the same reason, it's like the same goal. Is like trying to get so that we make exactly the right amount to consume all of it. But I think that the other logistical thing is just like the intensity of capitalism. So it's like much less expensive to buy things in bulk because corporations are trying to trick us into buying more stuff and spending more money. So you can resist that system by just buying 1 can of tomato paste every time you need tomato paste. But if you use tomato paste a lot, it's going to add up to more money over time than if you go to Costco and buy a case of tomato paste and then you keep it in your pantry and use it up. Technically, you'll save money, but it's like your version of minimalism or your patterns or your desire to just have a replacements only system has been infiltrated by the lure of saving money under capitalism. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I hate big packagings. We never buy that. And also it for me, it's more of I grow tired. So if I buy a big package of something, it locks me into having to have that thing for a really long time. Like I can never buy a big pack of tea or a big pack of anything, to be honest, because I'm like, now I have to like this tea for months and months. Am I really going to do that? So I tend to only buy small packagings of everything except toilet paper, because I know I'm not going to get tired of toilet paper. I'm going to like that.
I wonder how this applies though to makeup, because like do you have the same thing? Do you get like tired of something really quickly and so you don't want to buy multiples of the same formula, or like it's not the same? It's consumable, but it's not the same.
Yeah. I try to not buy several of the same formula now, because I have noticed that I'm like, I love this formula and I'll buy more colors, and it ends up that it was like that formula in that color that I loved, and it's just stupid. Yes. And also, if something is offered in the mini, I'll always buy the mini. Like I bought the mini of the Milk bronzer stick, and I've used it a lot, but it's like 6 months old, and I haven't even used half. Like I think I'm okay. like I didn't need a boy. There was no need for it. Yeah. Okay. I was gonna ask if somebody had any questions. Oh my god.
I know, you guys have been so bad at looking at the chat during this.
Yeah, me too.
I was doing makeup and then I was looking at Angie.
Yeah, I totally agree with this one. Bulk packaging can be considered more environmentally friendly if you buy something you use. Yes, I agree. So like laundry detergent, shampoo, toilet paper, stuff like that, we always buy in big bulk because it's stuff that we're like, I'm not going to stop using shampoo. But if it's stuff that it's like, I don't want to tie myself to that thing, it's more environmentally, it's more bad for the environment to throw away something because I got bored of it, or because it went bad before I was able to use it up. But there is a lot of things that are better to buy in bulk, definitely.
But that's a really good point, that it's not, I was really framing it as like this aspect of like a capitalist market that makes it so that you're driven to buy things in bulk or buy more to save, like you spend more to save a little. And how that, but you're right, it's not only, because that makes it sound like this really, like this trap or this really thing kind of, but it's not. There are positive aspects to it too. There are really good, smart things about that. And I mean, like, you know, my mom, for example, who like lives in a very rural place and she lives alone, and she buys a ton of food in bulk and gardens and then cooks all the food and stores it in her freezer. And so she's saving a lot of money. She's saving time. She's making healthier choices by doing that. It's a totally different model, but it's also definitely more environmentally friendly. So it's just, I love that comment because it's a good reminder that both things are true. This is another
definitely
really hard time grasping in discussions like this in our contemporary like culture of the mind. Both things are true. So you have to keep a more flexible philosophy about it.
Yeah, definitely. And also I love how you said like buy more to save. And I think that is also something that I've always said my entire life. When people say that you save money during sales, you never save money during sales. You're still spending money. They're not giving you money. You're spending money. Like you're only saving money if you're not buying it at all. You're not saving anything.
That is actually, I've been keeping an eye out because the chat's supposed to be like how our shopping habits have changed. I've been keeping an eye out for like little moments when we answer that question sort of in passing, you know, and that's another one. That's a way in which my shopping habits have changed dramatically. I used to feel really good about buying stuff on sale, and now I almost resist buying stuff on sale. Like and it's really dramatic. Like sometimes a sale will be coming up, like the Sephora sale will be coming up, or like Black Friday at this point is kind of coming up. It's like not around the corner, but it's kind of coming up. And I've even caught myself a couple times being like, well, I'm thinking about XYZ, or I kind of like XYZ, but maybe I should wait and then I can get it on sale at Black Friday. And then I'm like, Hannah, no, if you really want it, you should buy it, sale or no sale. Like, don't let the sale mentality infiltrate your decision-making process, because it's so seductive and it's such a lie. I mean, obviously it's not bad to save a little bit of money here and there, but that is such a small matter. Like saving a little bit of money by buying something on sale, ultimately over the course of my year, during which I'm like buying a finite number of things and spending a finite amount of money, saving $5 here, $3 there, free shipping or whatever, it adds up to such a small percentage of my budget. But the issue of allowing the sale mentality or the excitement of the sale or the thrill of a sale, allowing that to like cause me to buy stuff that I wouldn't otherwise buy, or to like trick myself, like that's a huge issue. And that has the potential to affect my budget dramatically and affect my stuff dramatically. So I've become a real hardliner with myself. I basically go through life pretending that sales don't exist.
I have a totally different tactics. I started with this tactics last Black Friday. I go to the sites that I like, that I normally shop from, and I add the things that I like on wish lists. If I really want them, I'll buy them. And then when the sale comes on, I'll go in and I'll see if the things are on the wish list. If they are, and I still want them, I'll buy them. If I see them on sale and I still don't buy them, I delete them from the wish list. And I never go through and look at what other things are on sale. Because if I didn't want them before, I don't want them now either. If I wasn't interested in them when they were at full price enough to save them in my wish list, I shouldn't be interested in them now either, just because they're on sale. So I see them in my like wish list, and if I see that they're on sale and I still don't buy them, I'll delete them, because obviously I didn't even want them on sale. Like, why are they even here? Like, they're only taking up space. So
That's
I'm
great.
having some wish lists, and I like curate and I delete them. Most of the things I add 10 things and I delete 9, and then I end up maybe buying the 10th one. So I never go through and look at the web pages when they have a sale, because I've already seen these things. I didn't want them before. I wasn't interested in them before. I don't need to see them again. If they're not in my wish list, I didn't want them, and I can just not look at them. Save that time, read a book.
In your chair. I feel like that was a great strategy. I've gotten like this idea from what you were just saying, that I want to try to articulate. I feel like I love that strategy for you. I feel like it's a really great strategy for you. And I also know that you have the like the clarity and the forethought and the self-control to stick to that. So you're able to have this, you're able to sort of dally in sales, like to have this relationship with sales that's controlled by your wish list and your faithfulness to your wish list. And also, you know that you're not, your money's not tight. Like you're not like, you're not always having to consider that other thing on top of it, which is like, can I afford this? Would I be, you know that you have like flexibility for your spending because you've worked so hard and like you have a great job and all this stuff. So you found this like way to make it work. So you protect yourself from the allure of sales by using that method. But it's interesting to talk about it, because I know that would be too permissive for me. Like it wouldn't work for me, because I would tell myself that I was like doing the wish list thing, and that I was, that was like the way of being able to understand whether or not it was a good purchase. But in reality, I would let the fact of the sale get in amongst me and cause me to feel like it was a good idea to buy more stuff than I can afford. So and also I have this, my history with overspending is very troubled in my own way. And I just know that I can't, like the only way for me to really protect myself from sales is to act like they don't exist for the most part, you know what I mean? And to really it's like I'm on a different schedule from the sales schedule. And it reminds me also of sometimes people ask me about credit cards, that I have a credit card that I kept open after I finally paid it off, but I never, ever used it. Like a personal credit card, it's been dormant since September of my no-buy year. It's for emergencies. I literally never use it. And then people will be like, yeah, but it can be really great if you use it and then pay it off every month. And then you can like get airline miles, and and people are like, if you use a credit card responsibly, then it can have these great outcomes in your life. And I'm like, yeah, but I can't. I know I seem like I'm really in control, and I've really recovered from my stuff. And like, and that is true in a lot of ways. I'm just not ready yet to try to use a credit card in a way that helps me, because I used a credit card so badly in the past. It's so connected to my bad behavior. So it's like your thing with the wish list. It's almost like the way that I know that some people can use a credit card, and I'm just not doing that right now because I'm not ready. And it's just worth bringing up.
Yeah.
You know,
I totally get it. Like, I don't have a credit card, or I have an account that's like a credit account where I have credit, but I don't have the physical card, because I realized I make a good paycheck. If I can't make that paycheck last, then I'm doing something wrong, and the credit card is not the answer. So I cut the credit card, but I still have the account. So if something unforeseeably happens, I still have the account, but I have to go through the trouble to actually call the bank. So I can't access it. Like, I can't go and access it now if I want to. But if something very bad happens and I really need the money for something, I don't know, what would it be? If like Tesla got hurt and for some reason the insurance didn't cover it, like I'm able to, but I have to call the bank, because I was like, why am I having a credit card? I have a good salary, and if my salary couldn't cover whatever I need, then I'm doing something wrong. And the credit card is definitely not the answer to that. That is just going to make things worse. So, and I didn't use it because I have all my credit left on it. And I know people say like, oh, use it and pay it off and blah, blah, blah. But like, I have a good savings account. So I have to tell myself, like, if I really needed a loan, all they have to do is look at my savings account and they can see that I'm good with money. Like, there shouldn't, all the other stuff shouldn't be needed. Like, so I also, like, I don't use a credit card.
I used to use it before I changed my habits as the way of just making the purchase not hurt as much.
I get that.
Like, just if you know what's in your bank account, every time you spend from it, you feel this little pang, like that number's going down. And I would just use the credit card to keep that pang from being part of the purchase. I would be like, oh, I can put it on my credit card and then the number in my bank account will stay the same. And it's,
I love this.
So
look at Samantha. Good thing we don't. Ooh, those 2020 jokes is coming in.
But yeah, it's really the ways that like my brain, I mean, maybe it's been long enough since my no-buy year that I could teach myself to use a credit card responsibly. I probably could, but speaking of 2020, like my brain is made of Swiss cheese this year. So I really am not like, engaged in the project of teaching myself how to do things that don't really need to be done. But, you know, it maybe has been far enough out that I could teach myself to use one responsibly now. It's just another example of a way in which you have to tailor your responsible behavior to your own past. Like if you're trying to become someone who behaves more responsibly with regards to shopping or beautiful things, you have to tailor it to yourself, and you have to be honest with yourself because your brain tries to fuck you up at every turn. You know what I mean?
And especially if you've had weird ways of handling stuff before, like your brain will try and trick you into like, oh, but it will be okay this time because you know
it's
what
on
you're
sale.
doing, and you're like success. Yeah, you're successfully adulting now. Like, you got this.
Swiss Brain Squad represent. I'm trying to get to see comments going. It's so real.
Okay, so we have been doing this for 1 hour and 26 minutes. Does anyone have any good questions before we leave off? Because it is 8:30 and I need to have dinner. I think that my husband needs to have dinner too. I think he's expecting me to. So if anyone has any good questions, I was going to say, or forever hold your peace. No. Still ask your questions in the comments down below if there's something that you think that we didn't answer.
Someone asked earlier. Oh yeah, this is the same question. Sorry, that I was just trying to remember. I had seen it gone by.
Which one?
The Tropicat life. If there's time, she says, "How do you think your upbringing affected your relationship with stuff?" And I can just like briefly because you know I'm Quaker. My family's Quaker. But I actually don't know. I mean, I think that my parents' Quakers tend to really like believe more in simplicity and not necessarily, things don't need to be like the fanciest or nicest. And, you know, it's more just about like what works. And, but I actually think that my parents are kind of like that as people in a way that's not only connected to their Quakerism. So it's not even just Quakerism. It's like my actual parents and who they are. They're just both people who they appreciate beautiful things, but it's like the beauty of the natural world or like the beauty of art or the beauty of architecture. And then when it comes to everyday things, like little things in your life, it's just, there's not this kind of like obsession with aesthetic refinement or glamour. Like my family has no use for glamour, my immediate family. And so I grew up in this environment where, you know, it wasn't like my parents were trying to squash me, like not let me be the person that I wanted to be, but there just wasn't really a sounding board for my own really deep innate love of glamour when I was a kid. So like I wanted to wear makeup. I wanted to have really different cool clothes. And my family it was kind of like I was an alien in that aspect. And I think the way that it affected my relationship with stuff was that for a long time I felt ashamed of my love of beautiful things and my desire for beautiful things. It wasn't cool in my community growing up, in my family, to have excess, to have extra stuff. It wasn't cool to be particular about which one you wanted or which kind of thing. To be like, I'm gonna pay a little more for the blue bowls because they're more in line with my aesthetic. No, it was like you pay a little less and you get the white bowls, they're perfectly fine. That was like how I grew up. So I went through this period of shame. And then when I finally allowed myself to like start wearing heels and lipstick and doing the most and like getting beautiful things for myself and spending, when it finally occurred to me, like I used to just, when I was in college, if I went out to eat, I would just scan the prices on the menu and I would find the least expensive thing. And then I would look at what it was. And if it was something that I felt like would taste good, I would order that. And if I didn't like it, I would go for the next least expensive thing. And then somewhere towards my senior year of college, it occurred to me for the first time in my little life, and mind you, I was like 22, 21. You know what I mean? For the first time in my 21 years, it occurred to me that you could scan the food and read the names of the food and pick the thing that you wanted to eat the most. And then the price would probably be fine, like depending on the restaurant. It's only going to be the difference of a couple of dollars. When I made that switch, I went like, I think I went a little bit overboard after that. And then, you know, 12 years later, I had to do a no buy year. So there was kind of like this pendulum reaction thing that happened.
Yeah, I totally get that. Like, I grew up, I want to say lower middle class, but I don't.
What do you mean?
My parents did not. My mom and dad lived together. My dad is no longer with us, so this is not me bad mouthing him, but my dad battled with an forever addiction, and he can never really hold a job, and he never ever had any money for anything, like anything ever. And my mom was a single mom for a while, and we lived in my grandparents' basement. And for a very long time in my upbringing, it was always, we can't afford that. We can't afford that. And I was the same. I can't afford that. So when I got a well-paying job, I found myself being like, actually, I can afford that.
Yeah.
And it made me because my mom is not in that position anymore, and she hasn't been for many years, but it still is with you that like, look at the prices, buy the like, even if I want this one, but this one is 2 crowns less, so I'll buy this one and I'll save the 2 crowns, because you never know when you're gonna need. I'm still in the store, because I remember telling my mom, I remember this very vividly. I told my mom, I can't wait. I was like 8. I can't wait until I grow up and I can go to the store and buy groceries without thinking in my head if I can afford it, because that is what I thought she did. And she told me, I'm counting. I'm not doing that. Like I'm counting my head to make sure that I can afford it. So, and I think that I'm still doing that. Like in the store, I'm like, okay, 20, 30, okay, 45. I'm just like, it doesn't matter what it adds up to. I'm still gonna buy it. Doesn't matter, but I think I still have that like mentality of always thinking like, how much is this? And like with the menu, if I look at, like, I really want to eat this, but it's the most expensive thing, okay, I better look for something else.
Yeah.
Even though I only go to a restaurant like twice a year, like, just get what you want.
And I think that there's another interesting side of this, hearing you talk about it, which is that with what I kind of inherited from my family in regards to this, it wasn't all about being able to afford the thing. It was like it was a philosophy or a value, like a value system, that you shouldn't pay more just for frivolity when you can pay less and the thing will work just as well. But that was often true in situations where technically we could have afforded the fancier one. And it wasn't an issue of like, if you spend the 2 extra crowns and get the nicer one, you're going to be out on the street, or like it wasn't like this thing where like, we're doing this now, we have to do it now because our situation is not stable. And then once we become more stable, we'll be able to buy the nicer ones. It wasn't like that. It was like a value system. Like you just, like it's like it was gauche to spend more and buy the nicer one just because it was prettier or fancier. It just wasn't the done thing. It wasn't the value. So that's why I think that the untangling of this stuff has persisted through like different phases of my adulthood, when I could afford it, when I couldn't afford it, and why it has become kind of an issue of stuff beyond the issue of affordability or the issue of budgeting. And I don't know if I'll even get into this on my actual channel, and I hesitate to even bring it up, but I've just been asking the question. I'm living in the question. I don't have an answer. The question of whether I felt like the year of less stuff sounded like a good idea because of this latent stuff from my childhood. I think that there's something that really appeals to me about the year of less stuff or having less stuff, because that was like a deeply instilled value. I think I had other more genuine reasons for the year of less stuff, but I do think that was part of it.
Yeah, I totally get that, and I'm still like sometimes looking at costs and stuff like that. So it lingers on, and you should look at costs, but it's like in stupid ways. Like I'll be looking at 2 different soups, and it's like the one I like and the one I dislike, but the one I dislike is on sale, and I'm like, maybe, even though I don't even like it. It's like I'm trying to, because there is always the way to be budgeting and to be smart with your money, but sometimes it's just like you don't. There's stupid frugal as well, but you're just spending a little. But just spending a little less money for something you don't even like, then just don't buy it at all. Then don't eat soup. Soup isn't happening today.
I do think a lot of that stuff follows us into adulthood. And I think that the best thing to do is like acknowledge that it's there. Don't try to repress it or reject it. Be like, this is me. And then gently let yourself remake yourself. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay to just remake yourself out of the stuff that you inherited and the person that you grew up to be. I know it's a little bit easier said than done, but I think that's what I've been trying to do since the beginning of my YouTube channel. First, it was an emergency measure, the no buy year. It was like there was a huge problem that I had to solve. And since then, I've just been trying to remake myself, but it's trial and error. It's a process of trial and error.
Yeah, but, well, isn't everything? I think that like when it comes to all of this, like I will probably look back at this in like 2 years and be like, I did not have things figured out at all. And I'm sure that you will as well. But that's the thing. It's not like you're doing a project and then at the end of the project, you're like, I'm all done now. I'm the perfect shopper now. I know exactly how to spend my money. I'm never doing a bad purchase ever again. Like that's not how it is. But you can acknowledge that you're working on something and that you're trying to be better at it without saying that it's all fixed, because it's not. It's a journey and you're trying to do the best with it. But the first thing you can do to solve a problem is to acknowledge that there's even a problem, like you did with you realizing that you spent money that you didn't have, and me realizing that I bought too many things that I like honestly didn't even want all of it. So, and that's the beginning, and that's when you can start like just dissecting things and see like which parts to keep and which parts to throw out.
Do you think that going forward it's gonna be like that? Like, what's your best guess? Do you think you're gonna kind of stick with your current way of focusing on fewer, nicer things, or like how do you imagine it evolving, or not? Or
I do like the whole fewer and nicer things, but I also have realized that there is a lot of things that I buy because when I really started looking at my clothes, for example, the things that I wear again and again that I look forward to bringing out, sometimes they aren't the expensive things. It's just the things that I've made really good choices with, the things, the material that really fits me or fits like my style, or the things that truly I picked because I really wanted them. So there's a lot of things that I have in my closet that I love, even though they're not neither fewer but nicer. I just think that I needed to hold myself back a bit and be like, okay, so you like all of these things, but which one do you like the most? And that's the thing that I needed to be like, it's so lovely, Angie, that you're loving so many things, but you can't own all of them. You can only own one of them. You like, it's like going to a pet store and buy like and picking up all of them. It's like I can only have one. It doesn't mean that I don't love the animals. I just can't have a zoo at home.
That is such a good metaphor. My mind is like blown by that, because I think that obviously a pet is like becomes trouble. You know what I mean? Like takes up space, makes a mess, continues to cost you money because you have to pay vet bills and all of this stuff. But what if we think about inanimate things as also kind of continuing to be a large presence? Like it takes up space, so it kind of takes up rent. You know what I mean? Like it has rent space in your house, and it takes up space that another thing could have. So it like it's kind of permanent in that way. Like if you put that lipstick away, then that's one slot that's full. So yeah, the idea of going to the pet store and being like, but I love all 10 of these kittens, and then just like not being a logical enough person to be like, but just pick one or maybe two, the two that you can afford, the two that you really will love the best. And then the kittens are going to have better lives too, because you'll have more energy and time to spend on them. Like thinking about lipsticks that way.
Do you have a lipstick zoo at home, Hannah? Is that what you're telling me? Lipstick zoo, but
kittens, like we know that.
Yeah. I mean, and let's be honest. I mean, we have 3 pets at home, but let's be honest, we'll get more pets at some point. It's happening. It's happening. Oh my God. Thank you so much for coming, Hannah. I think I need to go and fix some dinner. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you'll have a...
That I got the time wrong and at the beginning.
No, it was all of us.
This is super fun. And thank you everyone for watching.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for being here.
I know that you are doing like a rotating guests, so you'll probably do other people. But if you ever want me to come back, let me know.
I will for sure. I love having guests on. And of course, Hannah is in the description box, so don't forget to check her out. This is the kind of content she does all the time. So if you enjoy this, you will love her channel so much. And hopefully...
Oh, sorry.
No, tell me.
It would be really fun sometime to do like a fashion, like to analyze runway looks or something together.
Oh, I love that.
Looking at like current trends, or even scrolling through, I don't know, like Zara or like My Teresa, and like talking about the products together. That would be so fun. When you're ready to like bring me back around.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we'll do that. We'll do a mini fashion review, mini fashion roast. Yeah, I would love that. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. Thank you for being here. If you are watching this on the replay, thank you for sticking out for 1 hour and 42 minutes. I think this is my longest live stream so far, but we had so many things to talk about. Don't forget to check out Hannah. Next week, like I said, I'm having a live stream on Thursday together with Linda from Glitter Fallout. We're going to do some monthly favorites, newly discovered monthly favorites. It's going to be a lot of fun. So check back then. I will put up the thumbnail so that you can put on notifications about 24 hours before. So thank you so much for coming. Thank you for coming, Hannah. This was amazing. Yeah. Bye.